Let's do some controversial topics, namely looking at the differentiation between the sort of more conservative impulse presently to fixed governance and the more progressive one. So I'll just flesh out what I view to be the more conservative impulse and what I can view to be the more progressive one, suggest how, like, you know, absolutely truths in both of them, and then a potential integration between the two. So, the conservative move, you know, essentially suggests, you know, going back to 1776, where they think the best sort of governance model was established on the planet, namely the American government model, wherein you see a fairly good balance between the judicial, legislative, and executive branches. Indeed, over time, corruption has come in, and they're arguing, people like Ron Paul, Alex Jones, and so forth, you know, say go back to 1776. That's the best sort of model you could have. The more progressive move, you know, posited by people more like the Zeitgeist movement, for example, you know, suggests we do a resource-based economy. And, you know, that's saying that you want the scientific leaders in the positions of you know, heads of, you know, situations, because these individuals understand the empirical requirements for the particular jobs at hand. And further than this, there's the understanding that there's kind of an interpenetration of all of the planets between the different systems, and so there's sort of an ecological consciousness, and with it sort of a sustainability within their minds of how this all could be governed objectively in a you know, objectively holistic sense. This view in my mind is quite flatland, because it's saying, like, you know, do away with all the old governing systems and we have to start totally anew, totally fresh. Whereas, you know, Alex Jones and, you know, Ron Paul and those sorts of conservative pushers suggest, you know that stuff is absurd and that will, you know, strictly lead to corruption, which, you know, in my opinion, it probably would down the road. But there is important truths in the resource-based economy notion that you want to balance the sort of whatever currency you have with the actual resources that are present. To look at this quadratically, from my model at least, I believe that, you know, the conservative push is trying to re-establish the integration between the I, we, and it, or as again, the judicial, legislative, and executive branches. Whereas the more progressive push is to introduce an its system of inter-objectivity, and that's the resource-based economy. I believe sort of a holonic governance would be not only, you know, the old system of governance, but plus this sort of resource-based economy, and being like a commons, whereas, you know, from the objective perspective it would look like a resource-based economy. From the interpretive perspective, because I think interpretation always plays a role, it's going to be more of like the commons, where you know, those people whom we think are wise, you know, inject novelty into the system, and that would be coupled perhaps with some pluralistic forms of currency, as noted before in something like the trialectical 3 or 4. I'm thinking quadratical method of governance, so that, you know, you have 4 different forms of currency, perhaps, maybe more, I don't know. But each of these on their own, I think, are somewhat piecemeal and have their problems. And I'm saying mine obviously has problems. This view obviously has problems too, there's no doubt. But the move to establish more diversity and more pluralism, in a sense, adds greater safeguards into this governance structure, so long as that they're reasonable and in their place, and they functionally fit with each other in like systemic and holistic ways. So this is pretty abstract in lots of ways, but if you have any questions, let me know. Blessings.